What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk about exactly what's happening today, some causes and why it is bouncing back as much as it is. I'm going to go through all of that. At the end, I'll tie it all together with some technical analysis. But before I get into any of that though, all I ask, smash the thumbs up, subscribe. If you are new to the channel, I do daily videos on trending stocks, crypto, I do it all. So make sure you do subscribe. But with all that, let's get right to it. So looking at this intraday chart, very much impressive. So I'm going to talk about why we bounced back so hard, in addition to what caused the sell-off. So this is a little bit more scary, especially for those investors that are very heavily invested in Lucid. Waking up to this is not a good thing. So in case you do not know, Russia did officially invade Ukraine as of right now, and that caused a little bit of a sell-off, not necessarily just in Lucid, but everything. NASDAQ was down roughly about 3.5% at the beginning of the day, and it is less than 1 hour into the trading day. So a lot could still potentially happen, but it does look like a lot of us are still optimistic and bought the dip pretty heavily. So looking at this, we did bounce back, like I said, very strong. I'm going to do a little bit more technical analysis. So with the Russia tensions escalating as much as they are, there is one positive thing to take from this. Well, a couple. Lucid shares are extremely cheap. Nothing fundamentally has changed about them at all. So this is why right now is an amazing time to buy in. I know I say this all the time, but it is very hard to predict the bottom, especially if you do have a long-term time horizon though. These are very cheap shares and you will be looking back and wish you bought more at these prices. I know it is hard to think that it is the right time, especially as soon as you buy. Typically it does continue to go down, so it always feels like you made the worst decision of your life, but long term you will do amazing things. So with that though, like I said, out of everything there is some positive to take from this. So we all know March 16th there was going to be, hypothetically what they were talking about at least, a 50 basis point rate hike. So this is something that is starting to go down. So as of Wednesday it does look like that was roughly about a 30% chance. As of today it does look like it's a 16.5% chance that that's going to occur. Most likely they are still going to increase rates only about 0.25% though, so that is still optimistic. So that's one thing that's kind of benefiting based on the whole Russia situation. But again, long term you will be doing a lot of good things. And I know technically in a lot of stock forums and on my comments, a lot of people are saying like, why is the US market going down as much as they are? Because of Russia. We don't interact much with Russia. Well, at the end of the day, Russia does have a lot of commodities and they do provide a lot of wheat and other food sources to Europe. So technically Europe hypothetically would slow down a little bit, and thus their imports, exports and everything like that, which that does affect the states. And also Russia is a big part of, like I said, commodities, more specifically oil. Oil increasing in price. Oil is one of the factors as well that has caused inflation to go up as much as it has. So that's something to keep in mind. There was a very good article on New York Times as well all about this, and it explains basically what I just said to you. So in sum, this is basically something you need to keep in mind, especially as well right now it's a good time to buy in before their upcoming earnings. So that is one thing as well that's coming up on February 28th, 2022 after market close. That's something for you as well for you guys to keep in mind. There is a lot of good questions. So there is a website that you can post all your questions to, which unfortunately it doesn't really necessarily allow Canadians to do that. So I have been trying. I have two different accounts, one with TD Canada technically, which owns Ameritrade. Ameritrade is allowed to do that, but unfortunately TD Canada Trust does not. So I'm a little bit more disappointed in that. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of good questions that is going to be asked from here, one of which I'm going to ask for all of your guys' help. There is a very good question, and it is this. The investor presentation in July 2021 mentions a prototype energy storage system, ESS, progressing well. How is the Lucid energy storage system progressing now, and that when do you expect production for the Lucid ESS to begin? I really do like this question, so I'm going to link this in the description below. If you are a big investor and you do like this question as much as myself, go down and vote this up. We need this question asked, and I would greatly appreciate you doing so. With all that, just want to show you the live ticker to my left. It is very much green, so this is a great buying opportunity today. Despite it being up and bouncing back as much as it did, this is a huge deal. So I'm going to go through some updated data points as well, but I just want to start off by going over this. 13.5 million shares being traded within the first 1 hour of the trading day, whereas the average is 53. Block volume, 1.3 million shares being purchased by institutions and hedge funds in, again, the first 1 hour of trading. So today is going to be a very big day, and I do strongly feel it is bouncing back very heavily because of an overreaction of the Russia tensions. And yes, like I've already mentioned, there is some connections that indirectly affect the states and their market, but it is minuscule in my opinion, and that's only if technically it does escalate as far as the Russia tensions even more. So I do strongly feel this is a great buying opportunity, and clearly a lot of people do match my mentality when it comes down to that. But with that, just want to go over some updated data points. So looking at short information, 1886 is a short interest, up roughly about 2% from 1 week prior. Shorts are clearly hesitant about the reversal for Lucid, so you can see it is actually up 0.69%, which works out to be 1.53 million shares being additionally shorted. Still, utilization is 100%. Cost to borrow is going down a little bit, so the likelihood of us having a squeeze is starting to kind of diminish a little bit. It is still partially there, but it will largely be based on if there actually is big surprises based on their earnings. So that's something to keep in mind. As far as big options activity, last I checked there was nothing. So as of today, even though it does say today, there was no big orders. So as of right now, this information has not been updated, so there's no big orders over at least $50,000 worth of options. There's a lot of small ones obviously occurring, but nothing substantial, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But even looking at this chart, this intraday chart, this is very impressive. So like I said, whether you are buying today, let me know in the comments below if you actually did buy or not. I did do a poll just to see and kind of hypothetically what happened. So what stocks are you currently sitting with the biggest losses right now, majority of which is Lucid. So this is something as well to keep in mind. Lucid is at a significant discount. That's how I reword it and how I see things. Biggest losses. So if you have the opportunity to average down, this is a great time. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence. With that though, I just want to go over some technical analysis, because one of the main reasons as well, over and above that Russia tensions that we are bouncing back, is because we hit very strong support, especially more specifically after hours, you can see. So looking on the actual chart, we have the 5100 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So momentum, despite everything, number of buyers is starting to pick back up. Stochastic, there is a little bit more of a merging of the deviation. So hopefully a nice reversal, and possibly it's signaling that we are at the bottom. And looking on the actual chart, we're technically outside the Bollinger Band, and especially in that case, whenever there isn't really a justifiable case for us to keep us down or a catalyst, then technically 9 times out of 10 we do bounce back in. So that's one of the reasons as well, like I said, more so on the technical front, which is why we're reversing. But overall, looking on the actual chart, it is a little bit more mixed, a little bit more optimism as of right now, but technically the overall chart is still a little bit more bearish, so that's something as well to keep in mind. And going back to this, like I've been saying, we are technically now between the S2 and the S1 as far as support, so 21 to around 26, so that's technically where it might trade up until their upcoming earnings, which is again on February 28th, so on Monday. A very big day, but I do strongly feel that, especially that we did bounce off of this range, that we won't break past that. Again, depending on their earnings, I don't anticipate anything causing that, but like I said, anything is possible. And again, going back to this as well, this is why right now I do feel is a great buying opportunity, because it is the biggest loss. And keep in mind, ever since when this came out, and I'm sure a lot of people started to get back in, nothing fundamentally has changed. Ever since they announced the news here, there's actually been absolutely nothing to change that. SEC has come out with their investigation. Technically, nothing comes from that as of yet, but I do anticipate more so in the tail end of 2022 for that to actually come to light. But still, even in that case, I don't anticipate anything coming from that. And right now, I do strongly feel we are at a significant discount. We are getting well below the intrinsic value, and this is one thing I do strongly feel that a lot of institutions have been buying because they really find a lot of value when it comes down to Lucid. With all that, let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below. If you haven't already, smash the thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With all that said, appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.